So, welcome everyone to the first episode of the Soul Work series, something that I'm working on at the moment, which is a sort of an interview series with soul entrepreneurs about the work that they do, their passion, their excitement, what drives them, but also what kind of challenges and stories they face along the way, because this stuff really fascinates me, like people that are following their calling and what they go through on that journey. It's just not spoken about enough. So, part of my intention with this series is really to kind of bring people's stories to light about how their journey has been with doing their soul work. And I am so excited to be here today with Albee Barton, who is the founder and director of Green Monday Studios, which is a beautiful yoga studio in Carlton in Melbourne. And Albie and I connected over a class that I scheduled to, I booked the space to run a class here, which is happening this Sunday, 15th of June, if you want to come along.
Yeah, go to Spruik. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Got to do a bit of self-promo.
Yeah.
And when I came to see the space, Albie and I got talking about the history of the space and kind of like her journey with creating it and what her intentions were. And I was so inspired by it, like genuinely really moved by the story behind this incredible studio. And you wouldn't really know it looking at the building or arriving. You wouldn't know the depth of history that is here. And so I asked Albie, how do you feel about being interviewed for this Soul Work series? And she was totally cool and totally open to it. And so today we're just going to chat about Green Monday Studios, her story with it, and just like a little bit about her journey as a soul entrepreneur as well, and what her experience has been with following her passion and turning that into her business and her work as well. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you as the first
I
person.
know, I didn't realize that's the first one. What a privilege.
You are.
So special.
It is. It's an honor,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, let's just go back to the beginning with Green Monday Studios. Let's go back to the story we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
How did this space come to be? I know that it's got quite a rich history and a story.
It does.
Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because when we talk about history, it's sort of, it's not just my history. It's sort of, this space has been around, I've got to do maths now, 55 years. So it was founded in 1970.
It's crazy.
So yeah, I feel like if these walls could talk,
Yeah.
because there's 4 studios in the space, and they each have meant different things to different people over the years, and so much magic has happened in these walls. So yeah, it used to be called Mangala Studios, founded in 1970, and it was Mrs. Manjamali who was the founder of the space. You might, if you ever come in, there's a couple of photos of her on the walls on the way in. Yeah. She was a real pioneer of this particular type of dance method called Mangala method. And she was a yoga teacher. So yeah, this space has been a space for a hub really for creativity and transformation for a very long time. And then how I enter and sort of become a part of that story is when I was 4 years old. I was always expressive. Dance or movement, I really believe, was like my chosen language and how I make sense of the world. And my mum could see that, so she brought me to some classes. So I started doing some creative dance and yoga here when I was 4. So
4 years old.
Yeah.
Here in this space.
Yes.
That is wild.
Literally in this, well, actually, this is where we danced as teenagers. I was downstairs as a little one, and then we integrated up to the upstairs space. But so it really shaped who I am, this space, and the people that created it. And then, I danced and did yoga all the way through till I was about 18, 19. And then as you do in this sort of soul work, sometimes your path wavers and you kind of split and it goes in a different direction.
So true.
And sometimes it's necessary. And I went in a completely different path, and I kind of turned away from it because I was like, oh, that weird alternative dance and yoga, like it's too woo-woo. I hate using that word. I feel like, but that's, that's the language that sometimes people use. So but then, so I turned away from it and went and studied fashion design, and completely different world.
Wow,
Yeah, I guess I wanted to access a different part of my creativity in a different way, but
still very creatively driven.
Yeah.
Different path.
Yes, but definitely not soul work, but we can get into that maybe a little more. But I came back to it when I was in my late 20s.
Wow.
So about 28. I'm nearly 40 now. And same teachers were here. The space was the same, and I felt like it was coming home. Honestly, it was like everything made sense, and I felt like that disalignment, the path just came back, and I was like, I'm meant to be here.
Wow.
And
You felt that here in this space?
yeah, I actually gave myself goosebumps.
Oh my God, I'm feeling it too. Yeah, I feel it too.
Yeah,
Proud of that.
absolutely. Yeah, it's like a deep body knowing.
Yes.
And I don't say that about a lot of things. Like there's times in my life where things haven't been clear, but this is one thing where it's like crystal clear. And then I studied here, and my mentors, who were the original creators of the space, were, teaching me, guiding me, and then they decided to step away. They're in there. So Mrs. Manjamali passed away, and her two daughters and one of her daughter's husbands continued it, who were my teachers. Brilliant people, Peter Hockey, Claudia Manjamali, and Sue Hockey. I'm so indebted to them for shaping me, and Mrs. Manjamali as well, the founder. But where I'm digressing. But
how you found your way back into it.
Yes. And they wanted to step away, so they offered me to take over the lease of the building. They would still keep the Mangala name and continue their legacy in their own way. They now still teach here, but now I'm sort of the custodian of the building. The lease is in my name, and I now am the caretaker, and sort of continued in a different form. Things need to evolve and change. So I took it on, and here we are today.
So was there a moment, I guess, like that you remember, and maybe you don't, maybe you do, or maybe it's a general period in time where you were like, this is what I have to do, and you just knew it in your heart? You kind of said when you came back into the space, you felt a strong connection.
Yes.
But was that the moment where you were like, I'm meant to do this, like work of bringing this space or giving this space a new life, I guess? If it's 50 plus years old, like it's had a life, but you're giving it a whole new sort of rebirth sort of thing. So was there a moment where you really felt that, where you were like, this is, or a period of time?
It was almost like a slow unfurling. I would love to say that there was like a turning point, but it was kind of gradual, and in some ways it's not as clear cut. It's like it's a process, and sometimes it's messy, and it was sort of like the pulling away from my old career was a challenge because it's what I knew and what was safe. So I knew that I needed to practice and move my body again and reconnect with this space as a student, but then to turn it into a career and make it into my own thing, there was a little bit of teething,
Of course, and maybe fear and like
absolutely
resistance.
And whether like I could really step into these shoes, because there is so much history, and really my teachers, Peter and Sue and Claudia and Fran, there's many brilliant teachers. They had such an influence on so many people, and they still do. And there was moments there where I was like, am I worthy? But then I realized that I wasn't stepping into their shoes. I was like making my own and stepping into a different shoe, you know?
But sort of taking the foundation of what they built.
Absolutely. Like continuing the legacy, continuing this space of transformation and movement and creativity, but in my own way. Because you can only be on your own path, I can't, that's their path. So,
but you're very much honoring that legacy, I think, here, and like what they created, what they did. I think I told you already the other day, but I have a friend who I was mentioning that I was doing this interview with Albee with, and then she grew up in Melbourne as well, and she was like, oh my God, I used to go there as a kid. I did the calligraphy classes. She's like, I love that. And so you can see that from that story alone, that this space has had an impact on so many people. And so I really understand like that mission that you were feeling of keeping it alive. I'm also wondering if you feel comfortable talking about, didn't you face a couple of challenges when you first decided to turn it on? Like there was roof issues and some crazy stuff that happened.
There was many.
After you decided and you sort of
signed the lease. So originally I signed the lease with another brilliant dancer and teacher, Mia Velik-Lord. She stepped away because she's actually, I would say she's pursuing her soul work as well, because she's a dancer, but she also is a zoologist, and she got her dream job as a butterfly keeper at the zoo.
Oh,
Which is just so
wow.
poetic, and
It's beautiful.
yeah, so she's out there with the butterflies being a yeah, being divine.
Butterfly
Yeah.
handler. Wow, I love that.
Yeah. It's very Snow White. Like I think about her just fluttering around.
Around with the butterfly.
So yeah, also very indebted to her because I really couldn't have done it alone. You know, we it was a lot to transform the space. We did a big renovation financially as well. And it really was a team effort, but it was a whole community effort. We did big working bees where lots and lots of people came and helped out, and
Wow.
but yeah, so Mia was involved in the beginning and then she stepped away. But during that time, we'd just done our renovation, put all of my, well, all the money, little money that I had working in the arts into this. And then a freak accident happened and the roof ripped off in a very like terrible weather, I guess. A gust of wind peeled the roof off, the very roof that I'm like looking up at right now. And yeah, it was I mean, you could say it was like a catastrophe in some way. It's the whole roof peeled off and spliced one of those beautiful big plane trees outside in half. No one was injured. That was, yeah, thank God, because it could have been really bad. So that was our first roadblock. Yeah.
And then wasn't it COVID?
Yes, yeah. So then it was also took an entire year for the roof to be repaired because insurance companies are not very friendly for small business. But we got through it all, and I really did. I don't see it as something that ever was going to stop us, though. If it was just any old building, maybe it would have been too much of a barrier. But I care so much about this space, and like I said, it's really shaped who I am, and I feel like I owed it to the building and the community to continue it. So it was never a matter of if, it was like how are we going to get through this?
Wow. Okay.
And then COVID happened.
Yeah, then the COVID,
which affected everyone in many different ways.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, we got everything repaired, and then it just sat idle for like 2 years, gathering dust.
Wow.
And
not able to have anyone in the space.
Oh, and no life in it. Like there's always been a space of like a dynamic space of lots of vibrancy. So it kind of, it was like I just kind of broke my heart just having it to be so still. Yeah. And there's definitely moments where I thought maybe that energy that it holds, that the potency had been lost. But
really?
then we opened up and yeah, no, it was still here, still alive. Like the walls hum. It's like a lot of people talk about the feeling of the space as you walk in. Yeah. You know, if this space has been expressed in so many different ways.
For so many years.
Yeah. It's like
so many
it can't
people
not be felt.
Yeah, absolutely. It's holding that energy of all that creativity and expression, and
absolutely.
I can feel that. I'm curious about those moments of the challenges as well. So like when you were going through that, you said it wasn't a case of when, it was how. So have you not on your journey questioned it or kind of felt overwhelmed by the task of what was ahead of you? Have you had those moments?
I've definitely felt overwhelmed. Right. Like there's like deep lockdown. I mean, that was a mental barrier for a lot of people as well. And I was like, I kind of wasn't sure what my purpose was in that time. It was really idle. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There's just was always this deep knowing that the space would continue. Wow. It was meant too much to me. Yeah. Yeah. Even though it was a struggle, and the insurance issues, and the roof had collapsed in, and they just put a tarp on top, so it was raining inside the building. Like I'd walk in and it's like we're ankle deep in water. No. Yeah. So those moments I was like, why, universe, why? Then I also reflected on this, what was the universe throwing at us and why? But it was almost like a part of me was still attached to Mangala, and I was struggling to let go of this space that had shaped me, and the teachers, and what had happened was going to change, and letting go was hard. It was like really a lot of grief for a lot of people, that Mangala was going to be no longer in this form.
Yes.
And I almost felt like it's like the roof blew off so we could just, strip everything and start again from the foundations up.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, that's what's been, and now here's what's to come. So it's becoming something else, and it's still like the essence of it's there.
Yeah.
But you need to let it transform.
Yeah.
And I have to transform with it.
Yeah.
So
what a beautiful metaphor for what happened. Like, I totally hear you and see that and feel that as well, that like something as freakish as that could happen, there has to be a greater purpose or meaning to it,
Absolutely.
like how could that have been? So for you to see it like that and it almost sounds like that was the turning point from Mangala to Green Monday.
It really was. Yeah.
And wow, even through those moments, you didn't really lose faith because you knew.
No, I really didn't.
Yeah.
It's like hard to believe sometimes, but it's really nice to reflect on. Thank you for asking. No, it was like deeply innate knowing that, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that's because it is your soul work? Like if we use that language to it, do you think that is because this is something that you were in many ways born to do? It's part of your purpose or your mission. I know that word is thrown around a lot, but like, does it feel connected to your, like some deeper truth within you that drives you?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. Maybe you haven't thought about it like that, or
I hadn't thought of it as soul work, because I mean that word can be interpreted in so many ways.
True.
And but yeah, I know that it's like this is the path that I'm meant to be on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I guess, that could connect to this idea of soul work for sure.
And when you are leading the studio in the day-to-day, I'm just curious about the sense of fulfillment you get from it as well. Like if it is your soul work or if it is linked to your deeper passion or purpose, like do you have a sense of fulfillment with what you're doing now? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I think when I reflect on how unsettled I was in my past career, it's a really nice sort of framework to reference and see what has changed and what didn't work.
Yeah.
Because when I was in that industry, even though I loved creating, I really think that I was getting sick a lot, and I think that's because I was in disalignment as well.
Definitely.
More mental health challenges as well. And I think that maybe I wasn't aware that it was so deeply related to the career, and like I guess I thought it was a passion because it's like I was good at it.
Yeah.
But just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it.
Oh, totally. I've had the same experience in life. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah.
With something you build a skill set around and you develop it as a skill and you're maybe good at it, you can do it.
Yeah. Where's the joy? Where's the beauty?
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, like there's times where it's really mundane and I'm just sending emails and stuff. But when I zoom out, of course, I'm like, this place means a lot to a lot of people, and it has for a long time. And that's when I'm reminded it's like there's a tug, like a big yes that pulls me forward.
Yeah.
And I feel it physically.
Wow,
like I'm very in touch. I'm a practitioner, and so embodiment is really how I relate to the world. So I feel it physically.
Interesting.
And when I was in fashion, it was also, I had to compromise my morals, my ethics, and where here I choose what that looks like for the studio. Obviously, it's a collective. I always consider everyone that hires the space who's involved. But I also wanted to create something in the world that offers something meaningful to people that's not physical, that doesn't affect the environment, affect, people, depending on who's making the clothes, like all of that.
Back to me.
Yeah. Where this is something else. It's like people don't walk away. It's not tangible. They walk away with a feeling rather than a product.
Something within themselves is moved or shifted from being in this. Yeah, it's like an internal experience rather than like a physical. More stuff.
Yes, exactly.
I guess.
We've got enough stuff.
Yeah.
Even though, I still love design and I appreciate beauty. But I needed to step away from that, that world, and this world that I'm in now makes so much more sense. Yeah.
And that full body yes is so interesting because that's something I think many sole entrepreneurs are driven by or drawn to, is like they'll do the other work or the day-to-day work that they have to do, but it doesn't give that sense of feeling of satisfaction or fulfillment or and maybe that is what it feels like to be on purpose, like to be in alignment with your soul purpose and what you're here to do. Like it's that feeling that I think many of us who are building soul businesses are chasing. So it's so amazing that you talk about that because you've really clicked into it and you're living it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice to be reminded of that, honestly. Yeah. But sometimes, running your own business, I'm just like here. I mean, I have people that I work with, but a lot of the time I'm alone here, and it's like, yeah, you need someone else to remind you
Totally
what you've got and what's going on, and like to pull back a little bit.
Yeah, and see how far you've come and what you've created. And I
Yeah.
think community is a big part of that. That's part of my intention with my work as well, is drawing more people together to talk about this stuff and share the journey, because I so believe in it. I so believe that everyone has a gift to give the world, and if we can all support each other on our individual journeys, I mean, that's the world I want to live in, you know?
Yes, exactly. Me too.
So as we kind of wrap up this conversation, I just have one more question for you. Do you have, and don't want to put you on the spot, so if it doesn't feel right, you don't have to answer, but is there something that you would say to someone, I guess, who's like starting out on this journey, or perhaps who's feeling a pull towards their soul work or their passion project, but they've got those, hesitations, they've got a career established somewhere else, or they need to put food on the table and that's the priority. And so it kind of sits somewhere there in the background, but there's a desire there to do it. Is there anything you would say to someone like that? Any advice or?
Yeah. Honestly, the thing that popped into my mind is this Mary Oliver quote. Do you know Mary Oliver?
Mary Oliver, yeah.
What do you want to do with this one wild and precious life?
Oh,
we only have one.
Yes.
Do
Beautiful.
you want, at the end of the day, like I don't do this for money, Obviously you want to make enough to live and be comfortable and feel safe and have healthcare and all the essentials that every human deserves and has the right to.
Of course.
But like genuinely, if you want to live a life that feels true and authentic, I just think you've got to commit and believe in yourself. And I mean, I know it sounds cheesy, but it's one precious life. So really just go for it. And there is going to be challenges. And it's not going to be easy. I'm a great example of that. There was roadblocks.
Yeah. But, COVID and a roof blowing off. Like that's kind of major.
Yeah. But feel the pull, if it's actually what lights you up, if you feel good when you wake up in the morning and that's where you want to be, then just continue with that.
Love that so much.
We need more people doing that.
We do. More people lit up by their passion, by what they enjoy, because that has like a ripple effect as well, doesn't it?
It does.
Energetically, even like we're all affected by the frequency shift that happens within when you are in alignment.
Yes.
And happy and radiating,
Yes.
I love that. So what's the quote again one more time? What are you going to do with this?
I don't misquote it, but it's the end of a poem. It's the last line of a poem by Mary Oliver. Maybe we can share it after.
Yeah.
What will you do with this one wild and precious life?
Oh, beautiful. I think that's such a beautiful note to end on. And a question, I guess, of reflection for everyone who is watching or listening. What will you do with this one wild and precious life? And using, I guess, Albee's beautiful story as inspiration for that as well, as someone that is out there, that is doing it, that is following her passion, and through challenges and roadblocks and all the things, but creating this incredible space. So let that inspire you on your journey. And I hope to do more of these soul work series as well with other soul entrepreneurs. Again, my intention is to light people up and inspire them to follow their passion. And also please come down to Green Monday if you haven't already. Do a class here, right? Like check it out.
Love that.
You have memberships. Is there anything you want to promote about that?
There's so many different classes on offer. Many different communities that use the space, from meditation just for the queer community. There's beginners adult ballet for all the inner ballerinas.
Ballet
for all the people that were too shy or scared to, or had traumatic experiences as a child doing ballet, but for adults, it's really nice, and lots of yoga. Yeah, just have a look at the Instagram and see if there's anything of interest to you, and you can always reach out to me. Would love to support you in your movement or creative journey.
And when you do come down here, remember the 50 years that is behind you here in this space, and all the people that have danced and laughed and cried and expressed themselves within these walls. And I'm sure that just knowing that will elevate and shift the experience for you as well.
And then you'll become a part of that story as well and continue the lineage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's hard.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here and for doing that.
Yeah, appreciate you. So nice.